A school is an educational institution designed to provide learning spaces and learning environments for the teaching of students under the direction of teachers. Most countries have systems of formal education, which is sometimes compulsory. In these systems, students progress through a series of schools. The names for these schools vary by country but generally include primary school for young children and secondary school for teenagers who have completed primary education. An institution where higher education is taught is commonly called a university, college, or university. In addition to these core schools, students in a given country may also attend schools before and after primary. University, vocational school, college or seminary may be available after secondary school. A school may be dedicated to one particular field, such as a school of economics or a school of dance. Alternative schools may provide non-traditional curriculum and methods. Non-government schools, also known as private schools, may be required when the government does not supply adequate or specific educational needs. Other private schools can also be religious, such as Christian schools, Gurukula, yeshivas, and others, or schools that have a higher standard of education or seek to foster other personal achievements. Schools for adults include institutions of corporate training, military education and training, and business schools. In homeschooling and distance education, teaching and learning take place independent from the institution of school or in a virtual school outside the traditional school building respectively. Schools are commonly organized in several different organizational models, including departmental, small learning communities, academies, integrated, and schools within a school. The word school derives from Greek skol, originally meaning leisure, and also that in which leisure is employed, but later a group to whom lectures were given. School. The concept of grouping students together in a centralized location for learning has existed since classical antiquity. Formal schools have existed at least since ancient Greece and ancient China. The Byzantine Empire had an established schooling system beginning at the primary level. According to traditions and encounters, the founding of the primary education system began in 425 AD and military personnel usually had at least a primary education. The sometimes efficient and often large government of the empire meant that educated citizens were a must, although Byzantium lost much of the grandeur of Roman culture and extravagance in the process of surviving. The empire emphasized efficiency in its war manuals. The Byzantine education system continued until the empire's collapse in 1453 AD. In Western Europe, a considerable number of cathedral schools were founded during the early Middle Ages in order to teach future clergy and administrators, with the oldest still existing and continuously operated cathedral schools being the King's School, Canterbury, and Thetford Grammar School. Beginning in the 5th century CE, monastic schools were also established throughout Western Europe, teaching both religious and secular subjects. Islam was another culture that developed a school system in the modern sense of the word. Emphasis was put on knowledge, which required a systematic way of teaching and spreading knowledge, and purpose-built structures. At first, mosques combined both religious performance and learning activities. But by the 9th century, the Madrasa was introduced, a school that was built independently from the mosque, such as Al-Qarawiyyin, founded in 859 CE. They were also the first to make the Madrasa system a public domain under the control of the Caliph. Under the Ottomans, the towns of Bursa and Edirne became the main centers of learning. The Ottoman system of Kulliye, a building complex containing a mosque, a hospital, madrasa, and public kitchen and dining areas, revolutionized the education system, making learning accessible to a wider public through its free meals, healthcare, and sometimes free accommodation. In Europe, universities emerged during the 12th century. Here, scholasticism was an important tool, and the academicians were called schoolmen. During the Middle Ages and much of the early modern period, the main purpose of schools was to teach the Latin language. This led to the term grammar school, which in the United States informally refers to a primary school, but in the United Kingdom means a school that selects entrants based on ability or aptitude. Following this, The school curriculum has gradually broadened to include literacy in the vernacular language as well as technical, artistic, scientific and practical subjects. Obligatory school attendance became common in parts of Europe during the 18th century. In Denmark, Norway, this was introduced as early as in 1739 to 1741. The primary end being to increase the literacy of the